Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to NRL Supercoach off the bench. We're coming to you week 13, Teamless Tuesday, live, as we like to do. How are we going there, Rossco?
Afternoon. It's interesting to see that, we haven't been stuffed around this round with Origin players being named on extended benches and all this jazz like we have every other year. So it's good to see a bit of a realistic TLT come out. But obviously, things can happen between now and those games too with injuries, who's going to back up, who's going to play what minutes, all that sort of stuff too. So, it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. So, and a couple of big outs as well, Brad.
Yeah, I've only really seen one. I've only seen one lot so far, one team, because I got tagged in about 1 million times by all those people that know that I'm a Manly nuthead. But we're about to go through them. I'm about to do one more thing there just to get us sorted so that we're ready, rocking and rolling. I can see we've actually got a few already coming in and saying g'day. So g'day to those early listeners. Thank you very much for dropping in. That's always good to see. We'll give you a shout out in a minute. All right, you just want to hit straight into the first game?
Yeah, let's go. So first game, obviously, with Origin being on Wednesday night, there's no game Thursday night. We only also have the one game also on Friday night, which sees the Dragons against the Knights. For the Dragons, Christian Tupelotti is back from his hamstring injury. Corey Allen is actually out with a hamstring injury, so he replaces him. Dylan Egan's knee injury, he's gone for the season. Luciano Leilua starts. Toby Couchman comes back on the bench after returning from a shoulder injury. For the Knights, Kalen Ponga has been named at fullback, Sharp going back to 5'8". Tyson Gamble, the halfback. Jack Cogger drops out. Leo Thompson's back after missing the game with illness. Brody Jones goes back to the bench. Adam Elliott's out injured. Matt Croke will start at lock, and Jack Hetherington is on the bench. I was really hoping, Brad, that we'd still see Fletcher Sharp named at number one. Hasn't happened. Got to say I'm a little bit disappointed by it after the way Sharp played that last game, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
It's interesting, isn't it? He certainly killed it in that game. I'm quite happy as a non-owner, if that makes sense. But look, there is a couple of real interesting things in this game, not just Ponga, but don't forget Ponga might get they can shuffle this around. So folks, in these bye weeks and these semi-bye weeks, we're following Origin, just be careful and watch late news, because the late news is critical in these times, because the coaches do play all sorts of funny games and rest players here and will put them half onto the bench. And so, but yes, for Fletcher Sharp owners, I bet you, they're not the happiest. I guess for the Christian Tuipulotu, that's quite a bit of a surprise. I thought he's a couple of weeks yet off, so that's certainly.
I think he's been gone. I think he's been gone for close to 6 weeks now. So it was about when he was due back. There's not really much else there. I know there'd been a bit of love for Hamish Stewart, but he's getting a bit expensive in price now. Toby Couchman might be one to keep an eye on. Obviously not now, but once he's back starting, if his price starts to drop, he could be one to have a look at as well, for sure. We've been spruiking him for weeks, Brad. I know we have, but other than that, there's not really much else to talk about. If you don't have Dylan Lucas, you should have Dylan Lucas. Everybody should have him in their team. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I think there'll be a lot of people reversing trades this week, Brad, with the news about Turbo being out. I think one of the top 5 trades this week was Kalen Ponga to one Tom Trbojevic.
Yes, hit reverse, but we'll get to that game. G'day, Biggest. Biggest is popping in. Ponga might get injured yet. Of course.
We can only hope. Can only hope for that.
That's sort of what I was suggesting. By the way, if you are listening or watching out there, particularly on YouTube. I don't normally plug this because we really don't do it for. I don't care how many likes we get. We do it because we enjoy it. But like and subscribe if you are out there listening, or tell your mates and whatever else. But hit the like, subscribe, please do. Now, the one I want to mention in this game before we move on, I think, and it is a pod, but if you go back on history, Luciano Leilua, Dylan Egan now gone. Leilua moves into what is potentially an 80-minute role. Going back in history, Leilua was very Supercoach relevant with a very high ceiling for a second rower. He does have a bit of a flaw, though. Last week, he didn't really get a great many points. But at only 390,000K, you could sell Hubner to Luciano Leilua. And I can tell you who I would much prefer to have in my team.
Yeah. No, I don't mind the Brad at all. I probably want to have maybe one look at him this week first, obviously, just to see if he does play the 80 minutes. But looking at that bench that they've got there, I'd say most likely he will. Obviously, Little will play through the middle. Laurie will play through the middle, as will Couchman. Which really only leaves Pacific Tonga. So I'd imagine that with Deegan gone for the season, that Leilua will have that spot locked down. And yeah, look, I've liked what I've seen from him coming off the bench as well. So definitely an option too. Don't mind it, Dave. Brad, to be honest with you there. So they do cover 15 and 18, the Dragons as well. So definitely worth looking at, that's for sure. Even if you've got some mud on your bench like a Charlie Goomer, which I've still got floating around, or a Vay Muga from the Warriors, even like there's, get rid of that deadwood and bring a guy in who's going to get you 80 minutes.
Yeah. No, Luciano's going to do you. I don't like the bloke much, actually. I think he's a loose unit. And
he is. There's no doubt about that.
All sorts of things. But he's going to do you a lot better, exactly what you said, than Dom. He's going to do you a lot better than Charlie Guymer, and he'd do you better than Hubner. So, if you've got one of those sorts of players hanging around, I don't mind Luciano. For underneath 400K, a BE of only 25, this is the week that you want to be doing it. But, if he gets the minutes, he's certainly one.
I think you could probably wait a week if you really wanted to have another look at him. And if he's projected to get a 43, say he does get around about that, he'd go up 15K. So certainly not going to break the bank if he pumps out a 50 or a 60.
No. G'day to Big Ted. Thank you, Ted, for tuning in as always. Love your work. As a special treat, we're going to tell you either next week or a few weeks, we're going to have a special guest appearance by Ted, but keep that to yourself. We don't want everybody rushing in here to see the elusive Ted in action, but he's going to drop in. Ted has said that Ponga has a Humpty Dumpster's head. Yes, he does. And that's possibly the reason they don't want to put him into 5'8", because you've got to do a lot of tackling, a lot more defence. What do you reckon, Ross? A bit of a risk at 5'8" for the old
concussion city, I reckon.
That would seem what it is.
But mind you, though, like if they keep going the way that they do and they're not getting the results, look, Adam O'Brien might not have a choice, Brad, to be honest with you. And if he wants to be fair dinkum about making the finals, he may have to make that move.
Well, a few people weighed in on my thoughts about Luciano. Benny G, g'day, Benny. Thanks for tuning, mate. He says that he is trouble. Which, mate, as I said, he's a bit of a loose unit, and I don't like the character, but I can't deny he's got Supercoach pedigree. Which is too fat. Well, it's not polite to fat shame people, but he does like a McDonald's or two, I think.
Well, he's not as big as what Matt Lodge was. He looked like he'd ate a fridge that game on the weekend. That's it.
And he scored about 70 points or 60 points or something in 60 points, I think. In. 60 points, I think. 60 points, I think. In. 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 60 points, I think. In.
Yeah.
So Benny reckons he's the only Queenslander in here. As you can see, both me and Ross are
Very
in
good.
Blues attire, which, go the Blues.
Yep. Go the Blues.
One night to go. Jared, I'm going to get to your question in a minute, but we've got to keep going. We'll get on to this next team.
All right, let's roll on. Next game is Titans against the Storm. Des has again shuffled his back line. The group goes back to fullback. AJ to 5'8", Foreign on the bench. Brian Kelly comes in as centres for Tony Francis. Firma and Fodawaker and Tino have all been named to back up. And for the Storm, obviously Harry Grant, Cam Munster and Liera have all been named to back up as well. Bonson Garlic has been promoted to the bench. Centre Jack Howarth has been named amongst the reserves as he returns. Needs a return from a dislocated shoulder from round 7. Desi loves playing mind games, Brad.
Look, I think even the Storm are playing mind games. If you have a look at this team list, folks, that bench has got 2 utilities on it, which is a bit scary.
Yeah.
So they're carrying Garlic and Wishart. So clearly, I would suggest that some of that don't vice captain or captain any of those those Storm players, because you can bet your bottom dollar that there will be reduced minutes if it stays like that. Jack Howarth in the reserves, quite interesting. Kane Bradley as well is in the reserves, so he certainly has enough, and Joe Chan as well. He's got enough cattle there to easily cover any injuries or to make sure that he gives reduced minutes to people.
Looking at that bench, if it stays like that, I can't imagine Harry Grant plays 80 minutes. So it's an interesting bench, but I guess as usual, wait for the final teams. As you guys know, we do always post the final teams an hour before each game, so just keep an eye out for it. It's quite important, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Oh, geez, well, yeah. Watto, g'day, mate. How you going there? Watto, he's just said he got 881 last week. Look, I wasn't much ahead of you. So, and obviously, Teamless Tuesday hasn't been that kind to you either. There's a stack of turbo owners out there at the moment that we'll get to that game in a sec. Anything else for this game really stand out?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously it's a watch on minutes for the forwards mostly, relevant players like Tino and guys like that. I mean, they're definitely a play, but we just don't know what sort of minutes they're going to get. It's all going to depend on what sort of minutes they play during Origin too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Ooh, have a look at this. All right, the Cowboys versus West Tigers. I'm just running over my eye over this for the first time. Jackson Paulo. There's a name from the past, making a coming onto the wing there. Who's that?
Murray Talangi's out with his calf injury.
Talangi remains out. Jackson Purdue still is in.
I don't like that. I'm glad I sold him. So I'm very happy. I'm very happy I sold Purdue.
Haven't sold him, but I don't think I can actually, given this Teamless Tuesday. I think I'm stuck. The forward pack is pretty much the same, where it's Robson and Nanai and Cotter are all named there. And not a lot of cover on the bench for them either. For your team, Ross, the Mighty Tigers, the back line is exactly the same as it has been for the last few weeks, except for one very big thing. Heath Mason comes in, and no Galvin.
I think we all expected that to happen, Brad. I mean, obviously, the handshake deal's been done, hasn't been finalised, probably will be this week. Mason's an interesting one. I believe Fainu was pretty close to playing this week as he comes back from his thumb injury. So I would say that they really probably didn't have a choice. I mean, it's better than having Jack Bird in the halves, that's for sure. So I'll be interested to see how he goes. I wouldn't have minded seeing Buller actually have a run in the halves and maybe have Mason at fullback. But look, I don't think it's going to matter. Just if you've got the Cowboys load up on them all, if you've got Drinky, he should be your VC. There's absolute no ifs or buts. If you've got Drinky, have the VC on him in this game.
I think Drinky to be VC would be he's not Origin affected. He should be fresh. He should be good. And what? No, Galvin? No, there is no Galvis there.
Well, we knew that was happening.
Yeah. Jason has said, going back to that last game, VC Gutho, Captain Paps. Yeah, that's not a bad one there, mate. Not a bad one at all.
Yeah. Obviously he doesn't have Drinky, so I'd imagine.
I thought Samuel Olafanu was injured here. I thought he was going to.
Well, it says here that he's good to go despite suffering a knee injury against Souths.
Yeah.
So can't have been that bad if he's been named.
Yeah, well, and this is the problem with the Tigers. Every time that they name Jack Bird on the bench, I just shudder. If you've been watching his games this year, I can't believe that any of us, which there was a lot of people, I didn't go with it to begin with. A lot of people were considering starting him at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. That bench is just absolutely putrid. It is so bad. Like Naden Bird, like Fainu and Sukar, or whatever his name is. It's filth. It's so bad, Brad. We'll be doing well to get within 40 of them, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Oh, horrible.
All right, the Manly game. This will be the last one I do. I'll let you take after this, Ross.
Yeah, you're all right.
Lee, the big news here is no Turbo. He's gone. Ooh.
Unlucky to those who bought him in last week.
Wow, that is a shocker, isn't it? And there were thousands of people who brought him in last. So, that's a big strain on teams this week, that's for sure. He is a hold, though. So, only looking like it's 1 week, and you're not going to trade that amount of money in and out. It's just stupid. So, unfortunately, it's a hold for you, but do that. Tommy Talau is returning on the wing. That really does strengthen them up a lot better. I think that right side certainly looks a bit better for Manly with Tommy Talau there. The forwards, Jazz Tavaga, who is still cheap enough to buy if you want. He has been performing very well. Jake Trbojevic is out for yet another week. Ben Trbojevic, however, does return. Jake, however, is still – and there's no clear indication if he'll even be ready next week. Jazz is a bit of a PPM beast. As long as he's getting minutes, he's getting points. He does tackle and do all those good little simple things right as far as Supercoach is concerned. Lachlan Croker still not named to start.
Not only is Burbo a big in, but so's Ally too, because that sort of fixes up the forward pack a bit more as well. So he's obviously a big in to have him back in as well, Brad, for Manly. Obviously last week they were absolutely woeful against Parramatta, and you want to think that they're going to do better this game, especially with it being at 4 points.
Now for the Broncos, Ezra is still being named. We'll see how many lines he has before the game.
Or how many cars he crashes. One of the two.
Sorry, Ezra, you're bringing that on yourself, mate. I don't know what you did. Now, the back line is basically really untouched.
Jesse Arthurs is named at fullback.
Oh, that's right. Jesse Arthurs is fullback, and Dean Mariner goes to his wing spot.
Yeah, so Cobbo goes back to the wing.
Yeah, wow. I don't know what to say about that. That's quite the forward package the one I was looking at, and that does remain reasonably unchanged. I wouldn't mind betting there's going to be some changes here, though, so do watch for late news on all these Brisbane players. I'm not convinced that that's going to be the way it's going to run out. Quite interestingly, on the interchange bench, a name that a lot of us have had in our little black book for most of the year, Ben Tiakura is going to make an appearance. Do watch out for this bloke. I think he's the tallest player in Supercoach, isn't he? Something like that.
Yeah. I actually started with him, and he's just been sitting there for me all season. And I'd imagine he's going to get some half decent minutes here, as will probably Jensen. I'd imagine that Carrigan and Payne Haas will probably play some reduced minutes. So, yeah, that's obviously another one to keep an eye on too. Again, you probably want to play those guys, but just do be wary that they probably will play reduced minutes. So, but yeah, no, other than that, I mean, yeah, as you said with Jazz Tavanga, I still don't mind him as an option, but it's hard to say because if Jake's back next week and he goes back to the bench or goes back to hooker, it's just I don't like it as much. So, Eddie, last week was probably the week to get on, but I don't know about this week now because I think he went up about 80K too or something ridiculous this week. I don't know what it was, but he went up a fair bit.
Who, Jazz?
Yeah, he went up. He did, yeah. Maybe it wasn't that much, but yeah.
I've seen too. Yeah, that was as you can see there. What I was just told us that he had Jazz a few weeks ago when Mamazulas went down. Good trade, mate. That's all I can say.
So he went up 42K to 464.
That's still pretty damn cheap with a BE of only 7. So yeah, I don't mind that. That's still very much in a buy category if you want to get in.
I mean, there's a chance too when Gerbo comes back that he goes to the prop and then maybe Bullimore goes back to the bench. Even you just don't know. You know what I mean? So. Yeah.
All right, we've got Bazza joining us. Good day, Bazza. Not sure if I know Bazza, but good day, mate.
I think Baz is the one who's been asking from 360 pod from the old 360 group about doing a live TLT pod. So I'm pretty certain that's him. So yeah, shout out to Bazza. Thanks for tuning in.
Good day, Bazza. Have a beer. Bloody beautiful.
So I guess the $1 million question here is Brad, is it Hopewadi? I'm very keen on him this week. I know he might be only at fullback for 1 week, but I still really like the play. Do you still think he's a pretty solid option this week?
He's starting to get up there in price. I own him, so it's a hard one to ask me because I'm an owner. But yes, he is. And the reason for this is the week after, although he's a fullback this week, the week after this week, if Turbo is back, he'll go back out to his wing. DCE will then be missing because he goes back into another Origin camp. And the play will be sweeping back to the left again because that's what happens. Brooks comes in and starts running the show, as he should. Yeah. And he goes to the left. And you'll see a lot more attack for Manly go down the left side than what goes down the right side, particularly if Turbo's back, sweeping down that left side, and that's hanging off Brooks' shoulder. That's why Hopewadi almost had 3 tries last week. The attack went to that. And unfortunately for people who like me who own Gokololi,
and Garrick.
I own both. But what it means is the right side didn't really see much attack.
No.
So but the benefit is that you've got Lehigh Opoati on the left. It's just it's a pity they just can't be a bit more consistent and a bit more Anyway.
I think if you're going to do it, this is the week. I just think if it's now or never, if you're going to do it with a break even of 3, I think if it's as said, I'm very keen on it. I've got a centre wing I want to move on, so it'll probably end up going Hopewadi, I'd say. So, I wish I jumped on last week. Yes, I do, but look, I'll bring him in and see what happens, and give him a few games. And when he caps out, if he's not doing well, I'll just trade him to a Val Holmes or something after Origin.
Now, somebody has asked there, Tracy. It's Watto actually. Tracy or Jenko to
Tracy.
You'd go Tracy only because Tracy doesn't play this week. So it makes sense to get rid of particularly in a week that's going to be very tight for players and your team. I would be ditching Tracy.
The one thing I will say is that Jenkins has been named on the wing this week, and they have actually dropped Alamoni. So, which is very interesting. They've dropped Alamoni and kept Jenkins in the team, because I thought Jenkins was pretty average in that game last week, but I don't know what they're going to do. So, but I think Tracy's definitely the go. I mean, we all know what's going to happen. The mail is that either Critter or Burton's going to go back to fullback for the Dogs. So Tracy's definitely got to go.
Yeah. No, absolutely. All right, next game. It's enough on Manly and the old Broncos. Broncos are going to lose, by the way. Whack your money on Manly. Anyway.
Put everything on it?
That probably means I've given them the kiss of death now. Fuck it. Bloody.
All right, we'll get to the next game then. South versus the Warriors. This is one change for South. Kepi comes onto the bench for Liam LeBlanc. For the Warriors, JFH returns from suspension. Rocco Berry from his hamstring. Mitch Barnett's been named. Halasima goes back to the bench. And Jacob Lehman moves to 18th man. Lot of love this week, Brad, for Colin Matunga and also Ewan Aitken. Your thoughts? I mean, it's hard to argue against getting on Keon with the way he's been in the last two games at prop. I mean, he had a base of, I think, 91 the last game he played. It's massive, and if I could do it, I would, but I just don't have the trade. Number one, I don't have the player to trade out. Number two, if I'm going to do it, I want to do it in one trade, not two. So I'm going to unfortunately pass on him, but I wouldn't hold against anyone who's bringing him in.
Apparently that score last week was a record base score in Supercoach. I haven't really checked on the validity of it, but it sounds about right.
Yeah, he had the highest ever in base of 93, and I think in the same game, Tyrrell May had the third highest with like 91 or something. It was ridiculous.
Oh man, that's
yeah.
Isaiah Tass in the centres still for the Rabbits. Big Dickus will no doubt tell us something there, but I think that looks shocking. He obviously is loving Humphreys. I hear Big Dickus has got a picture of him somewhere in his bedroom. I'm not sure if it's the ceiling or the wall, but
it's everywhere. I heard it's everywhere.
Yeah, we'll get to this one in a minute because I'm going to have a bit to say. And Koala, yes, we're all on the Koala train. At the moment, I can't argue against getting Koala if you can. It makes it very difficult at the moment, but I think he is one that you probably should be very seriously looking at.
Yeah, I wouldn't be going Gutho. That's only me, but I couldn't go Gutho. Yeah.
Yeah, we just had someone just post a question about trading Turbo back to Gutho, but yeah, I'm not
sure. On to Gutho. I mean, I'd just be hanging on to Turbo. It could only be gone a week. I just think it's worth the hold. I wouldn't be panic trading him out yet. So, yeah, definitely hang on to him for now, Baz.
I think this is going to be a very close game. Another one that has got a few people trading is Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, who's reasonably priced. He's only in the very low 600s. And on the wing, that's his Supercoach friendly spot. You hope that he doesn't get moved to the centres or just don't go back to the centres. Yeah, wing is the spot. I'm not sure at what point you do bring him in or if you should. But he's certainly worth the consideration. He's going to get some good points there.
I actually don't mind Campbell Graham, Brad. That's 432K. I don't think you're going to get him any cheaper than that. And I actually really don't mind him at all. As I said before, Ewan Aitken's another one that's been highly traded in this week. Don't hate that either. Yeah, it's a tough one for me. I mean, I'm probably not going to bring either of them in, but what's your thoughts on Aitken and Campbell Graham, Brad?
What price is Aitken?
Aitken's at 534, second row centre wing dual.
Yeah, I can see why people are doing it. But just remember what you're doing is if you're putting him into centres and you've already got Lucas in centres and then you've got Ewan Aiken who you're planning. Although, yes, he had a very high ceiling last week, Dylan Lucas, generally you're not going to get a high ceiling game out of him. And you're certainly not going to get a high ceiling game. You're going to get a consistent game with some really steady scores and some nice cash growth out of Ewan Aiken, but you're not going to go really high. You're not going to go high like some of those other lunatics that work out on the wings and can get 3 tries in a game, and which they're the ones you hope to jag and help you climb the points. But that's my thoughts on him. But that's just personally. I'm looking for a bit more. I want to get those high ceiling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. His biggest has said that Tass is in for Jackie calf to round 14, which is a bit unlucky there.
Yeah.
I just don't rate Tass that much. Whenever I see his name, I'll shudder.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else from this game?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we pretty much sort of spoke about the main ones. I think, I wish I'd have jumped on Aaron Clark, though. I mean, what a buy he's been for those who got him. He's so expensive now, though. I couldn't get him now, but far out.
Hats off to you, Aaron Clark owners. You did something like that. A lot I haven't done.
Never, ever in his whole career has he ever been Supercoach relevant.
No.
Ever.
No. All right, what's happening here with
Panthers versus the Eels, the Western Derby. All the Origin players have been named to back up for the Panthers. Edwards, To'o Cleary, Isaiah Yeo, Liam Martin. Scott Sorensen returns from suspension. Isaac Targo goes back to the centres. Debut Harrison Hassett keeps his spot on the bench. Dane Laurie and Paul Alamonte drop to the reserves with Brad Schneider. For the Eels, Mitch Moses and Lomax has been named. Dean Hawkins goes to the reserves. Sam Russell goes to the wing with Will Penasini out with concussion. And Josiah Papali keeps his place on the bench. I don't really have much to say about this game, Brad, because both these teams are pretty terrible. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, other than Lomax, there's probably not really any love for anyone else that I really like from either of these two teams.
Yeah, you're not going to go near Brian To'o, particularly with Casey McLean stuck.
Glue hands inside him. Yeah.
Tom Jenkins now named back on a wing. He's certainly a much better winger than he is centre. So that's a bit of a positive. And we were just talking about this earlier about who you should trade, Jenko or Connor Tracy or Thomas Jenkins back on a wing. You're probably going to keep him. I think he's only got a pretty low BE still too as well. So
Jenkins break even's about 83 now. He had a low break even last week. Okay. Massively gone up to now about 83. He's actually number one most traded out this week, Thomas Jenkins.
On the other side of the fence, Jack Williams is proving very interesting. Keeps climbing. He's been a slow burn, but geez, he's going quite well. He certainly found himself a mobile front row forward there, a front row forward with a step as well, which is unbelievable, particularly for a Parramatta player.
What's your thoughts on? This is not for me. I'm not keen on it. But Jordan Samarani, 368k, break even of -9 with a duel of second row forward and centre wing. What do you think about him? I mean, I didn't think I wasn't keen on him last week because they moved him into the centres and he's there again. But he put out a 67 last week in the centres.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd prefer to wait and see on see what's going down there. But I generally unless they're exceptional, like a Purdue was in the centres, you generally don't pick non-goal kicking rookie centres. They're just they can be trashed. But He could be the difference. He could be something else. But
yeah,
if you've got room to bring him in, well, you don't. Oh, you must be going really well.
mustn't have any other problems.
He mustn't
Yep.
have too many other problems because it's a. Did you? By the way, relevant to these two teams, I'm not sure if you heard or saw during the week, but Nathan Hindmarch's son just got signed by Penrith after he rejected the Eels' offer.
What was his name again? He's got some funny name. What is it?
Oh, bucket if I know his first name. God, you're asking me to look at something. One of our listeners.
It's a really like weird. Oh, I think it's a Buster or something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to go back to the article, but I just found it interesting that an Eels legend and his son, and he turns his back on the Eels and goes to Penrith. Yeah, quite interesting. What I says at centre is Samarani's national position. They're just trying to transform him into a back rower.
Well, he's obviously played second row before because otherwise he wouldn't have the position there with his Supercoach. So, yeah.
No, he certainly. Look, as I said, I'd prefer a little bit more time, and my own personal team, I have way more problems than what he could probably help solve. But anyway, he might be worth a bit of a look.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We've got
last game. It's the bloody dreaded 6:15 Sunday game. Can't stand these games. Hate these games. They shouldn't happen. For the Roosters, so all the Origin players have been named: Lindsay Collins, Spencer Lenu, Connor Watson, Rob Toyer, Angus Crichton, Fogarty, and Egan Butcher goes back to the bench after starting last week. Dom Young drops out, and Aielu and Makatoa drop to the reserves. For the Raiders, Tom Starling's out suspended. Owen Patey will start at hooker, with Danny Levi coming onto the bench for his first game of the season. Hudson Young's been named. Simasaki reverts back to the bench, and Noah Martin drops to the reserves.
Wow. Danny Levi.
Yeah. Mr. Goat, the GOAT himself.
Mate, I reckon his ownership that year was about 80. Was that last year? He was about 80.
It was last year. It was last year. But he actually scored well last year. He had a few tries. He's actually kind of relevant last year for a little bit.
It was only a few weeks though, and then we were all stuck in this absolute spud, for the rest of the going, oh Jesus.
It was like that other spud. It was like that other spud from Parramatta, the spud hookers from Parra as well.
Now we've got Joey Tapine. It's like saying Derby and Derby. I say Derby. I can't believe you say Derby.
Yeah.
Sounds like a New Zealander, Ross. Anyway.
Thank goodness he's been cleared to play because I only brought him in last week. I was petrified when I saw him got put on report, and I'm like, oh, yeah, here we go. I've just brought him in this week and he's going to get suspended. But luckily, he's all good to go.
Very lucky for my team. I was thinking he would be out as well. He's also in my team. Look, I can't believe Billy Smith is sort of retaining his position, but I know the coach has a bit of a love affair with him.
Well, I mean, it's a bit hard. I mean, he's hardly seen any ball. If you watch these last two games, he really hasn't hardly seen the ball at all. All the ball's going down the other side to buddy Toyer and the Alphabet Man.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at last week, right, in a team, they scored a lot of points against the Sharks, but he hardly touched the ball and still got 45. So God help if he does get some attacking stats.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. I just think if you've got him, all I was going to say is that if you've got him, you've got to hold him. He covers the next two major buys, and you shouldn't be selling him. He's a number at the end of the day.
Blake Sleep, I see, is back in the back on the bench again. He's sort of going to be like who was that South player that keeps getting named on the bench? Poor old little fella. but Blake, he has a fantastic PPM. You have a look at last year's PPM, and then again this year, he's still, as I said, I think he's averaging around 1.3 PPM per game. He's just fantastic. But I guess Wong hasn't done anything greatly wrong. Wow, that nearly gone. But yeah, Blake Steep, certainly put him in your little black book for future years. One to keep an eye on. I've got a number of these Canberra players, even KO Weeks, but you never know. I might get some value out of him this week.
Yeah. And obviously a lot of people fell for the Savage trap too, Brad, which we obviously spoke about on Sunday night. So obviously, again, I feel like there's a couple of players that have been highly traded in this week to me that are traps. I'm interested on your thoughts on it as well, Brad. Obviously one of them is Ezra Mam. I cannot believe that he is in the top 5 most traded in. And the other one I feel like is chasing a bit, and it's hard because of the buy coverage, but Hugo Savala's actually in the top 10 traded in this week as well, off pretty much only one decent score all year. So to me, that's a bit of chasing to me. I don't know what you think, but Ezra Mam, he's really never, ever been Supercoach relevant.
No, unfortunately, I did own him for a bit last year thinking he would become Supercoach relevant. But you never know. A clean and sober Ezra might do some good, but not for me.
Yeah,
not for me. Hugo, Hugo's just very much a chasing points on his. I would have thought most people had their 5/8 position pretty much. Is he 5/8, isn't he?
Ezra Mam's 5/8, yeah. Oh, you're talking about Sevilla?
Yeah.
He's dual position, second row forward, halfback.
Again, I thought most people had their halfback sorted.
Yeah, you should have Cleary and Hines, or at least Cleary and Hughes or something like that.
Yeah, I would have thought that that's a very luxurious trade that the people are doing there. So good luck to you. You're probably making more cash than I've got, but it wouldn't be for me. I can't really see they're not going to be hugely. All right, so do you want to talk about anything else with the most traded there, Ross?
No, I think that's pretty much it. As I said, we should probably do a quick shout out to our sponsor, Wedgetail Golf, as well. Brad, I know you bought a hat off him already. Shout out to Dan. Thank you for jumping on board. Appreciate it. No, other than that, that's pretty much it really for me this week, Brad. Just see what happens with these. You can go the Blues in Origin.
Got time for a few more questions. Send us through a question if you have any more while we're just yabbering crap. But thank you very much to Wedgetail Golf. The hat, although this isn't the hat, but the hat that I bought off him recently came very quickly in the post. So the postage is very reliable, quick, and gets to you very nicely. And although I haven't been able to play much golf around here at all this year, mainly because it rains every time I try to get out on the course, I certainly can't wait to with my golf bag at the moment, the hat, and I will be using it shortly. That's wedgetailgolf.com.au. Pretty easy to find. All right, Ted says, what are our trades this week? Colo, and a boost for Appy. What do you think about the Appy Coruscant?
I don't like it. Kind of feel like it's chasing a bit again. I mean, you got a double against South, which she never gets a double. Very rarely gets a try too. I mean, there is one good thing to take out, but he doesn't have a backup hooker on the bench. So he most likely will probably play 80 minutes. Look, I mean, 500K, break even at -8. If you're going to do it, you probably will do it this week, but it's not for me. I mean, if you want to go the pod route, I don't hate it, but I don't know what you think, but I couldn't do it.
Look, I don't necessarily mind the Appy one. For instance, I still have Mamazula sitting there.
Yeah.
Mamazoulis is nearly 500K, so it's virtually not much money to go from him to Happy Coruscant, is it?
Yeah. Look, I don't know.
If you had the trades, it probably is not a bad
What
shout.
happened? What happened to the double gun barrel no hooker?
I don't know, Ted.
Teddy, what's going on, mate? You gone against your word.
He's having a rethink about it.
Right, Origin predictions before we dunked off double enough. All right, Origin predictions before we finish up, Brad. I'm going to go the Blues by 8. I'm going to go Latrell for first try. Man of the match is going to be Mitchell Moses.
Oh, wow. Well, look, New South Wales, I don't know by how many. I'll just say 10 because I always say 10. I do like the Latrell shout. And the reason I like the Latrell shout is Latrell is inside Zachy Lomax. Now, if you reckon that Cleary and Moses aren't going to be raining an awful lot of balls in the direction of Zach Lomax, then you're kidding yourself. And
especially when you've got a rookie on, he's marked. He's got a rookie bloody centre against him in Robert Toya too. So they're gonna pepper that bloody wing all night, mate. He's gonna cop it left, right, and centre.
So one thing Latrell is very good at, it's picking up scraps.
Yeah.
Not having to go at you there, Latrell, but he will pick up those scraps very nicely. So whether a first try scorer, or certainly any-time try scorer, I would definitely have him inside your multi if you're having a try scorer multi.
Right, who's your man of the match?
Man of the match. That's that one there.
Lomax gets 3, or what's possible. Yeah.
Lomax gets 3. So, Teddy's sort of he's sort of on my bandwagon there. That side you would think logically is the one that's going to see a lot of ball. I know coaches play Duxers and Drakes, and Laurie Daly might send the ball down Brian Toto's way. I can't see it a great deal, particularly if I'm not even sure Jenko's going to play, and I don't think he is. So he might have Campbell Graham and Brian Toto. So that makes Latrell and Lomax League even more delicious on that side of the field. Who's the second row inside of Latrell?
Would that be Gus or Liam Martin?
Well, which one is it?
It would.
Because they might also be worth a shout for try scorer.
I can't think. I think Liam Martin normally plays right, doesn't he, for the Panthers?
So it should be.
Should be Gus, right? Isn't it?
I think it'll be. I think it's going to be Gus. So I'd probably also be having a little bit of a hunt around for his try scorer involvement there. Bazza said he just moved to Queensland, but he bleeds. So that's the way.
Run your Bazza.
That's
good boy. Good boy.
Always, mate. Lou, even when I was living in Queensland, which I don't anymore. But g'day to my Queensland mate. But yeah, I always went for the Blues no matter what happened. Man of the match, you're really putting this one on me. Look, go Cleary. I think Cleary could. Cleary certainly knows how to do it in bigger games, and the bigger the game, I almost watching Penrith and even watching him the other week. I almost felt that they were working at different combinations and newer things. I'm not even sure if they're looking at the final year top 8, or I think they've almost ruled out the 5 in a row. But you never know; they might bounce back. But Cleary certainly for me is one.
I just like the makeup of how a whole side completely as a whole better. I mean, as I said, you've got Edwards there at fullback. It's such a good team. The they're just, like I said, they're going to pepper, Toya and that with bombs all night down that side. Lomax will, we know how tall he is. I think he'll be most likely up against Xavier Coates, but it's interesting. So
I thought you said then that they were going to pepper him with bongs.
No, well, no, it's more white line. It's more white line, isn't it? But anyway,
Ezra's not playing, is he? God, I'm
Jeez.
All right, well, that's about it for tonight, I think, fellas. Thank you very much for all the people. Bazza, Big Ted, Dickus, of course, Jared Watto. Thank you very much, Watto, for all those questions. Really appreciate it, man. Jason Carter, and there's a few others I can see that are in there, but they haven't commented. So sometimes they like to remain anonymous, but that's all right. We do appreciate you all those viewing in. And all right, so we will be back. I think we're going to do an extended podcast next Tuesday. Is that correct, Rob?
No, we're doing one. We'll do one Sunday night next week. I believe the following week with the long weekend, it'll be a extended
following
podcast.
Week.
But Sunday night we have another special guest. We have Tim's best buddy Joey from the Ruck Infringement podcast coming on as a guest this Sunday night. So we'll probably be live roughly around about 8 o'clock, straight after the last game.
I can see there in the comments, Bazza says that he's now in Tweed Heads. Bazza, I lived a long time at Kira and Tweed Heads, lived off Kennedy Drive. Not a bad spot, mate. There's a lot worse places in Australia you could be. I didn't mind living in Tweed Heads, but as long as you go to New South Wales, still, that's what you got to make sure of, no matter where you are.
Let's just remember one thing: Fiji's in Queensland.
Well, wasn't it Sam Thaiday was born in Hornsby Hospital?
I don't know. They also reckon Sterlo should have been playing for Queensland too, didn't they? They're trying to claim him as well.
Yes, yeah.
Don't forget where Inglis was. Don't forget where Greg Inglis was born as well. He probably should have been playing for New South Wales.
Very close to where I live. Out at Barrowville. But anyway, Barrowville's in Queensland, isn't it?
Yeah, everything's in Queensland.
Mate,
it won't matter after tomorrow night.
Enjoy the State of Origin, everyone. Thanks a lot for tuning in. And go the Blues. Sorry,
Go the
Timmy,
Blues.
Our third wheel, but go the Blues. Until then, until Sunday night, we'll catch you on the flip side.